Hey, welcome to Getting to Know Google Classroom. This episode is on giving feedback to students. I am Coach Ben, and we're going to jump right in here. On my screen, you can see two browser windows. This one over here on this side is our teacher window, and on this side, we have our student window. I kind of want to have you see this side by side. So today, we're going to talk about giving feedback to students and a few ways that you can do that. So, first of all, some ideas that I'm going to share with you. None of these are necessarily new ideas, but I wanted to put them all together in this screencast, again with a side-by-side. So number one, you can give feedback by leaving students comments on documents. It's important to do this before they turn it in, otherwise, as Alice Keeler says, they will be invisible feedback. Number two, you can send students a private comment. You can do this in many different areas in Google Classroom. You can also reply to student questions. This is a great way to give feedback, and you can do it publicly if you want to give kudos and just stoke up students. You can also use screencastify to record feedback to students. That's if you want to use your voice and do some screen recording. And finally, probably the best way, honestly, is to give oral feedback to students just in real time. But we don't always have time to do that. So I just kind of wanted to give you guys a few options. So we're going to start out here in our Google Classroom. Again, on the right we have our teacher edition, and on the left over here we have our student edition. So the first option we're going to have is we are going to go ahead and show what it might look like giving a feedback in a document. So over here we're going to flip on the student panel, and so the student, you can see, has been working on this magnet kind of hyperdoc. So I'm going to go here, let's go over here and let's click on the not done. And right here I'm going to go and visit Ed. And as I open up Ed, you can see, I'm sure, as many of you know, my face will be popping up right here so that Ed can see that I'm in the document. So as I'm looking at this, I'm kind of scrolling through, and I kind of notice here that Ed, let's see here, I can see he's done a great job of citing this. In paragraph 2, the author helps us understand force by giving us a context clue. The text says push or pull is called the force. So I notice Ed is doing a great job, but it looks like that Ed might have forgotten to put the quotations along this. So what I can do is I can highlight this part of the text, and then there's a few ways I can leave a comment. I can come right up here though and add a comment. And I can say, please add quotation marks. Bam. Then I hit comment. So Ed, it's going to pop up right here on Ed over here, and you can see his comment. He can click on the comment right here, and you can see that it has to do with this text box. And then he can go ahead and put the quotation marks right there. And then he might reply and say thanks. And how is that going to show up on my screen? You can see right here it says my comment followed by Ed's comment. So again, that's one way to kind of give that real-time feedback for students. So another way we said we could give students feedback is by leaving a private comment. So if I'm looking at Ed's and I wanted to leave that same comment here, I can click on Ed, and down here it says add a private comment, and I could say please make sure to add the proper quotation marks when citing evidence. Okay, let's go back and clean this up by right-clicking, quotation marks, boom, click on that, and then over here I can go ahead and click post. Alright, so how is that going to show up? Here it shows up private comments. I can see all the private comments here that I made for students right in this panel over here. So if Ed's going to see this again, flipping back to the student view, Ed would actually kind of have to go back, click in the assignment here, open, and then once Ed opens the assignment, you can see here, right here. And then Ed could say thanks for the help. Again, how does that pop up? This is student view over here. How does that pop up over here? Well, going back to Ed, depending upon your notification, you might get a notification. And you can see here, this is kind of a conversation just between Ed and I. An advantage to this is Ed can see that right when he or she opens the work. They don't actually have to go in the work. One of the advantages to tagging in the comments is that you can see here specifically what it's connected to. So far we've gone over leaving students a comment in the doc, sending students a private message. The next thing I want to talk about is replying to students' questions. So as you can see here, here's a question that Ed has gone ahead and answered. What do you know about magnets? Magnets can push each other apart and pull each other together. So going back to my stream by clicking this magic little arrow, I feel like sometimes teachers forget about this to get back to your screen. I know I've helped quite a few. So I can see here's my question here. I have 2 that are done. So I go ahead and click on there. I can see demo and I can see Ed here. So one of the things I like to do so Ed knows that I'm talking to him or her is specifically putting the @ and then Ed Tech. You can also use the plus sign, and I could put Ed, remember to use correct cups, if that's what you call it, capitalization, usage, and punctuation. And then I can hit post. And then how does that show up over on Ed's computer? If Ed had Gmail turned on, then Ed would get a notification there. But as you can see right here, I can see there's 1 reply. And so Ed can click here and see actually what the reply is. They know that they're talking to Ed here. Remember to use the correct cups. And then Ed can go back and edit and come in here and say, okay, I need to capitalize M and I need to put a period at the end. And then submit. And then again, student device over here in my teacher device. And it's either going to refresh here in a little bit. Oh, it's already refreshed. And then you can see, again, another way to give feedback. All right, so we went over leaving a student a comment on the doc. We went over the private comments here, and then the replying to this. Now, one thing with replying, when you're asking a question, you can do it either so students can see classmates' answers, like here you can see Ed can see classmates' answers. If that's the case, then students are going to be able to see the replies that you give to each other. If that's turned off, they're not going to be able to see the replies. It's kind of like giving up a private comment. So again, just want to point out when you click on question and you ask a question, one of the options is students can reply to each other. If this is on, they can see your comments. If this is off, they cannot see your comments. So the next thing I want to show you is, let's say I wanted to leave a little bit more feedback. So one way to do that is by using screencastify. I have another tutorial on my YouTube page on kind of how to set that up. It's not too difficult. It's an extension. And so let's say I wanted to add a little feedback here on this. So here you can see, I wonder what this thing is here on here. I'm not quite sure. As I'm looking through this, I can see, oh, you know, this person obviously has a little bit of issues maybe with some of their formatting, and they need to kind of go back and fix that. Looks like they've dragged bold word subheading, bold word good. Looks like these aren't dragged in the quite right correction. So what I might do is actually, this is going to be a little crazy, create a screencast within a screencast. So all I have to do is, now that I have this little handy dandy extension installed up here, I'm going to click on the extension, and then I can go ahead, my microphone is working, I can choose to record the tab or the desktop. Let's go ahead, I'm going to do for tab for now, and I'm going to record the tab here because I want to give this student a little bit of understanding how to use this. Alright, so here I'm going to record this, and
3, 2, 1.
Oh, sorry if that's a little hard. Hey, hello there, Ed. One thing I wanted to show you is to make sure you knew where these arrows go and what to do with them. So let's kind of look at these arrows here. So see, this arrow says bold word. So what you're going to need to do is actually drag this over here so that it's next to the bold word. So for that example, I want it pointing right to the bold word. You're pretty close, but I would rather prefer for you to put it right next to it. Okay, so let's move this over here, because that's approved as a bold word, right? It sticks out a little more. Polls is a bold word. You can see you can pull over here. This is a bold word here. I can see that this is a subheading. So again, I want it pointed so I don't have any questions as to which one is which. So you can also use, Ed, you can also use your arrow keys if you once you have it selected. As you can see, I'm having a little bit of trouble with mine. So here's a diagram. Let's label that. Here's another diagram up here. So let's make sure to label that. The last thing again is just, there you go, moving that subheading over. So please, thanks for listening to this, and hopefully that helps you, Ed, with your feedback. So I'm going to come up here. I'm going to click stop. So this, what it should do is click open a new tab. Oh, sorry if that's a little hard. Hey, hello there, Ed. Okay, again, I apologize if that's a little loud. So right here, if I want to now get this back to Ed, I can click here. Make sure only you can view the video. That's the share icon. I want to change this so at least it's at minimum unlisted in ALISAL. That means they're going to be at least able to see it. I'm going to go ahead and copy this link. And so the way that I probably would share this back with them is I would go again, I'd go into this magnet, and I might come in here with Ed, and then I can either attach it as write a comment, and it looks like it might have been the other student, but you get the drill. Attach it as a comment, or I can come here and click on my student, and then add it as a private student. Please, as a private comment, please watch this short video for extra help. So I copied it. I'm going to paste it there. Make sure I spell video correctly, and then I can post it. So again, how is this going to look in the student view? They're going to come over here. Once they open their assignment, what should happen is, obviously sometimes it takes a little while, but this is going to be kicked over to Ed. Oh, there it goes, where Ed can open it up right here, and Ed can go ahead and watch this. Oh, sorry if that's a little hard. Hey, hello there, Ed. So again, I can give really targeted specific feedback. That is both oral feedback and it's a feedback that the student's able to watch at any time. So hopefully this tutorial helped you. Again, we went over leaving student comments on documents, sending students a private comment, replying to student comments, using screencastify to record, and giving oral feedback. That's a lot in there, but remember, you can always rewind this video, you can rewatch it, and there's lots of other resources that I put in my Google Classroom if you're attending my training live. If you have any questions, remember that you can email me at edtech@alisal.org. Thanks very much for watching, and hopefully this gives you some ideas on how to give feedback.